So we continue with Daas Tevunos. So last time we continued traveling through the waves of Daas Tevunos that we didn't understand, okay? At least I didn't understand. So the parts that we didn't understand was this goes back to something that he said in Kuf Yud Ches. In Kuf Yud Ches 118, he said something about the two-step, right? I mean, even before Kuf Yud Ches, he said something about a two-step process of creating the world. First, some kind of a framework, then the actual world. And that process allowed for the creation of evil through not creating it. Meaning, so the first Hashpah created kind of Ra in potential, right? By holding some of the creation back, so to speak. And then the second Hashpah actually then took from both, from elements of light and elements of darkness, right? Right? And then he said, so that was before Kuf Yud Ches. Then in Kuf Yud Ches, he said something along the lines that since the first Hashpah was created with the idea of bittul in mind, and the second Hashpah, in a certain sense, is more creative. It's fully creative, right? It's just borrowing its creative juices from both the darkness and the light, so to speak. But it's much more creative. But he says that second Hashpah, has a built-in feature that it keeps the good and evil kind of separated. Okay, because so that's okay, and somehow within that framework, in the section that we saw last time, was that in the second Hashpah there's like a switch mechanism. It's like built into it. There's a switch mechanism. The switch mechanism, what he calls because the first Hashpah, so it's ironic, I guess. Again, I don't fully understand this, but the irony of it, that the first Hashpah, which is in a certain sense full of life because it's creating life, it is limited because it creates the possibility of death, so to speak. The second Hashpah, which is actually actively creating good and evil, so actively creative death and whatever all that includes with it, but in a certain sense, it's less limited because it's more
all-inclusive.
Oh, right. It's more creative. Like I said, it's more creative. It's more fully creative. It's less reserved. It's much more fulfilled. So therefore, within that second layer of Hashpah, is also, so to speak, the antidote to the evil. Because of that, its creative power, it has a built-in kind of like, it's not an override, but it's a built-in, what he calls
resistance.
I mean, not resistance, but the very creativity that creates evil is also the creativity that ultimately has to get rid of evil, because evil is the opposite of creation, technically, because the source of evil, which is in the first Hashpah, is lack of creation, right? It's Hashem holding back His light. So the second Hashpah, which it's kind of Hashem's light being fully expressed, and as a result of its fully expression, it's kind of bringing with it evil into reality, right? But it's also bringing with it the what's the word? The energy to override the evil and to destroy it, because the very creativity of it says that evil should not exist, even though again it's creating evil because it's built on the first Hashpah, which allowed for evil to exist in potential. Something along those lines. Again, do I fully understand this? No, but that's seems to be the general framework, right? And that's what he calls the Rosh V'Rishon L'Metzias Tikkun Habriya. Okay. The other thing that he said last time is that because there is a zelumas zeh framework, in other words, evil, good and evil are mirror images of each other on each level. So therefore, he said something along the lines that the rectification of the world and the destruction of evil comes by it being pushed down to at each point to the level below it. Right, so it's conquering evil level by level and pushing it down further into the until it's completely gotten rid of, which kind of, in a certain sense, reminded me of something that Rav Dessler's idea that says as a person grows, right, his bechira becomes on a different level. It's kind of the opposite. I mean, it's the same idea, but it's going in a different direction. Rav Dessler is thinking of growth, right, moving up, and so Rav Dessler's idea, right. So in the beginning, a person's like, should I be mechal Shabbos? Should I not be mechal Shabbos? Okay, when a person grows, there's no longer he doesn't want to be mechal Shabbos. But the question is, okay, should I, do I think ahead of preparing for Shabbos to make sure that I don't need to rely on the school or whatever it is, right? So that's a different madrega of keeping Shabbos. Again, as a person grows, his taiva or his yetzer hara, his decisions are on a different level, and that's what growth is. Changing your fulcrum of bechira, right? So that's similar to the Ramchal in a certain sense. As a person grows and clears one level of kedusha from evil, so then a different level of kedusha is now in flux, so to speak. The battle moves. Just like in Ramchal, so too in Rav Dessler, we're constantly moving the battlefield to a different location. That's the point. Okay, fine. So that was all from last time. And now, so again, what I don't understand is Kuf Lamed Gimel, right? So it's important to look at how the neshama responds to what the seichel had taught her, right? So the neshama responds, Kol Eilid Dvorim Mechuvarim Li. All these things are very clear to me. Okay, they're not so clear to me, but it's very clear to the recipient of those words. V'zeh Seder Noah, and it's a beautiful organization. Lahavin Midoisav Shel Ha'odem Baruch Hu, to understand the midos of Hashem, the Master, Hamiyusodim, that are founded be'oimek chachmasa, in the depth of His wisdom. Shelo yudvar divrei ha'olam u'mikrov, so that the things of the world and its happenings should not be dvorim noiflim al tzad ha'hizdamin, should not be something that kind of becomes like sort of happenstance. Aval hakol mistakein, but rather everything is mesukan, everything is arranged b'chochma mukul tachlis sholem, in a deep wisdom for a complete goal, a goal of completion. So it sounds like the neshama is saying, I see that with the framework you're setting up, which is again what Daas Tevunos to me is doing this whole time, is to set up a framework that is sort of by design. Everything is by design. Nothing is just, it could have been done this way, it could have been done that way. No, Hashem decided to do it this way. Everything is sort of, once you set certain few first principles, right, axioms in place, everything else is sort of, what do we call that? Deductive logic. Everything is then must be, right? So again, so it sounds like everything that the Ramchal said in this section is like, it has to be so. Like there was no other way to create it. Like this was. Now I understand. It must be logically so. Which do I appreciate that logic? The answer is I don't. I do not appreciate logic. I don't know why it has to be this complicated system and why it has to. Why is he doing it? But okay, so we'll have to put it on all of the things that we still have to get back to. Okay, so let's continue with Kuf Lamed Daled 134. Do you have a heading for 134?
Specific aspects of you.
What?
No, basic of system.
The what?
Basics of system.
That's what they call the top title is called Basics of System. And what is
You
it
mean
about
part
in
one?
Hebrew? What is it called?
Yesodus Hanhaga.
Yesoidos HaHanhaga. Okay, interesting. So by me, it's called Darkei Hanhagos HaMishpat VaAhava. Okay, the ways of the what? The ways of conduct of judgment and love. Okay, which again, I don't know if any of these, meaning are these headings like the modern editors put in to make it more what's the word, user friendly, or is this original
You
Ramchal's,
think about this one, child.
what does it say for
Yeah,
you?
the way God directs world of good and evil.
Okay, that definitely is not a heading by the Ramchal.
Well,
This
it's,
is definitely an
it's like a chapter.
editorial. Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, yeah. So headings are important, and I would love to know which headings are made by the editors and which headings are made by the Ramchal. Are any of these, because this version, the older version, doesn't have any divisions. It's all one long stream text. There's no sections here at all. So I'm assuming that the sections were put in here by later, whatever. Okay, fine. So Omar Aseichel. Okay, Nashlim Seder Arichas Mishpetei Hanhagoso Yisborach. Let us complete the arrangement, the organization of the justice of Hashem's conduct with the world. Not conduct, listen to the word. Hanhaga, providence. Let's say providence. Yeah. So let us complete and arrange the justice of His providence. V'noimer, ki hinei achar shekvar kava harotzen elin gvuloi shel hara, that after that Hashem had already set up the boundaries of evil, v'chokak inyonov mashiyu v'lo yosifu, and He set in place what they will be and what they will not kind of overflow, meaning, right, they will not increase beyond a certain point. Shov, then He went back, v'kova hanhaga yishara, and He set up a hanhaga, a conduct. Again, I don't have good English for hanhaga. What's the proper English word?
Directed.
After directed what?
And then destroyed. He directed and then destroyed from the beginning.
No, before that. We're not that far.
No, the general question is evil
What?
should exist for limited period of time. That He decreed and then be destroyed.
It's further down, but
That He been guiding the world.
Guidance. Okay, you call them guidance. Okay, Hashem's guidance of the world. Okay, fine. So again, let's see. Now that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had set up some kind of a boundary to the evil, and He set in place its aspects. They should be that and nothing more. Shov, then He went back. He set up some sort of a guidance, a straight guidance system, Yeshara. That the world requires now that evil is in its creation, in its fabric. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure what he's saying, but there's some kind of a straight hanhaga that Hashem deals with the world when it has evil in it. V'amnam kol now, included in that is that Hashem wants this evil to exist for the duration of time that He wants it. And that later it should cease. And from the beginning of the world, so from the beginning of the world, He is directing it towards the good ending. That the evil should cease from it. Hashikvar Hiskarnu Lamaila Binyan Gilu Yechudai. And this is the one hanhaga, one guidance that Hashem is in place that we already discussed when we were talking about Hashem's revelation of His oneness. Okay. However, the entire duration that Hashem wants the evil to exist, He needs a different hanhaga. Because its existence is not for nothing, but rather for the needs of the service of mankind. So therefore you need a different hanhaga that's necessary for the avodah to take place in all of its conditions. Okay, again, so this is pretty basic. I don't know why it's getting so lengthy and so long, but the idea, what he said before, there is the Anhagas Hayichud and the Anhagas HaMishpat. We saw that already before. That Hashem guides the world towards good, but meanwhile, there is Anhagas HaMishpat, which is revealed, Okay. V'hine, Teidi, you should know, Vada she'eina masim atoivim ta'elos le'izbarach klal. Now you should know that Hashem's good deeds do not benefit Him in any way. V'loi masim aroim chisaron, and neither are bad deeds some kind of a chisaron, some kind of a lack that is created by Him. It already says in the pasuk, Im chatasa, if he sinned, matipol boy. What do you accomplish? For what impact did you make on Hashem? Im tzedakta, and if you were righteous, matitim, what did you give Him? In other words, Hashem is perfect, and therefore you can't take away from Him and you can't add to Him. But rather, Hashem kind of put Himself into a place. He created such a hanhaga, such a guidance, and He put Himself into a position that He is quote unquote bound to such guidance, right? The guidance of, in other words, He's setting up a situation where Hagas Mishpat means your actions get a certain reaction, right? But you didn't do anything, you didn't affect anything. But nonetheless, Hashem created a Haga that your actions will then receive a certain reaction. So Hashem created these ways that He knows would be good for this purpose. That as a result of this hanhaga and these actions, these ways, there will be a possibility of schus v'choiva, of merit and, let's say, demerit for an adam. Shall pi hadrachim ha'ele yuchel lehikor ta'eles ma she'yikayim b'nei adam es hamitzvos, right? Through these ways that Hashem created, Hashem could happen. There could be benefit for the people that do the mitzvahs. V'chisoron and a chisoron she'yavru aleihem, when they transgress them. Lo tells chisoron le'atzma. It's not benefit and chisoron to himself. Ella lemashehu roitza lipoil bonu. But rather the chisoron in the toelis is in the system that He created, right? So since Hashem created a hanhaga, which is a framework of mishpat, so therefore, the mitzvahs and the averos, they influence the framework, the way this framework works. Okay? So again, it's a very important point, right? So you could think one way, meaning Hashem creates a system. Again, there's a machine, there's a universe. Hashem creates a system. Hashem, He does an avera, boom, there's a hand comes out and slaps you, right? You do a mitzvah, there's a hand comes out and gives you a caress, right? So the system is in place, and it just reacts to your actions. But the system is unaffected. What he's saying, I think, is something different. He's saying not only is there an action and a reaction, but the system itself fluctuates based on human actions. So that if a person doesn't have error, let's say the whole system comes down to a level. So not only does he get a patch, but next time the patch is much more stronger because the whole system just downgraded to a new level. Okay? V'hu inyan kishis, and that's the idea that it's expressed kishis oisim ritzoyna shel makom, when Klal Yisrael they do the will of Hashem. Ma'isifim koyach begvura shel ma'ila, they add koyach, they add strength to the strength of above, right? What does it mean? Again, like he said, it can add to the strength of above. So what he's saying the way we are adding strength, we're adding strength to the framework, right? To that Hashem created, right? And we are, in other words, we're influencing the framework that was created for this world. Shapir Shurazal, that our rabbis explain in the end of Hazinos, Yalkut Shmoini, fine. V'av gam zois, and even still, loy lefi she'ena yochel lipoil ela al pi maseh atachtonim. It's not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu cannot act, but only in accordance with the actions of the people below. Chalila chas v'sholom ela lefi she'ena roitzel lifol. Hashem chose not to act except for in reaction to human action. V'alken yikru amaisim toivim k'voidei Baruch. So as such, we call the good deeds Hashem's honor, and the bad deeds the opposite. So what comes out is that this is what Hashem initially innovated, originated, when he created this Hanhoga Zois L'Tzorech Avodah for the benefit of the service. Hainu Mitzius HaTo'eles, the concept of benefit, right? So Hashem created within the system the concept that the good deeds can benefit the system, and the lack that could be created by the actions that are not good. Because again, ultimately all of this is new. It's all originated. Nothing is really built into HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all a framework that Hashem set up for the benefit of the world. It's all based on His will. And this is what Hashem calls guidance of good and evil, or providence of good and evil. Kiklal hatoiv, who call hasidorim hamisukonim. In general, all that's good and all of the arrangements that are fixed, all the benefit that arises from the good deeds, and the rise is the opposite of this. All the lack that is created from averis. Okay, so that is what he calls hanhagas hamishpat, that has a built-in feature that it itself is fluid, so to speak. It's influenced. The and then after this, tzorech lisader inyon schar ve'onesh. And after this, you have to arrange elements of schar and onesh, of reward and punishment. 1 second. So till now, what did we speak about? Did we not speak about reward and punishment?
No, we're talking about influencing the system.
Right.
But not the person.
Right. Even though I kind of put them together, but now we're seeing it's separating them. Yes. What good will be given to one who does the mitzvah, and the punishment to those that transgress it. Not only that, the schar has to be of two types. You need to have reward and punishment in this world. And then true reward in the next world. Okay. I mean, we saw, right? Pirkei Avos, what did it say? What did it say? Schar mitzvah b'hai al maleka, right? There's no real reward in this world.
Yeah.
So right, with the Rambam, I think, right, famously says that as a person does mitzvahs, so Hashem provides him with more resources to do more mitzvahs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that these things are a reward for him, but rather these things are additional resources, right? And if you're a trader, so they first start you off with a small bank account, and if you do really well, they give you a bigger bank account to trade, right? So to manage. So similarly, as a person kind of elevates, Hashem gives him more and more resources to play with. But he says mischar v'oinish shel zeh olam, that reward and punishment in this world. So so whatever that means. I mean, I guess. I mean, we do understand that there is. We saw in the Hashem reward and punishment in this world in a sense that sometimes the Kodesh Baruch Hu gives somebody all their reward in this world, and then somebody else all their punishment in this world, so that they can have more reward in the next world. So maybe that's what he means over here, or maybe he's just being general. It's part of the system, even that resource addition system, according to the Rambam. That's also part of the fact that Kodesh Baruch Hu has to increase something for you. So it's, you can call it what you want. You can call it reward, not reward. He's not getting involved in this. He's just telling you that there are. What's the word? The second thing that we need to discuss is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu, gives or takes away something from the recipient. Okay. Anyways, so v'tzorech lechadesh sidurei matzav bnei ha'odam, and you have to. So he needs to originate different orders of stations of mankind. Matzav atov, matzav aroim, good stations and bad situations. And as they come close and they get distance to him or from him, in a precise hierarchy according to their actions, or things that they rectified, that they messed up, which is the purpose of tshuva, or when they accept Yisurin Boilam Hazeh or Boilam Haba. And all of this has to be also arranged, right? So part of Hanhagas HaMishpat, right? Part of Hanhagas HaMishpat is also Schar V'Einish. And Schar V'Einish has all these different elements, right? Tshuva element, Yisurin element, Olam Hazeh, Olam Haba, etc. Okay. Nimtzes Kol Zois Hanhaga Mitzterech L'Chol Zman L'Mosei Ra. So this is all of this necessity for the hanhaga, for the providence that exists while Ra exists. Kvar at roya, now you see how much wisdom and calculation, so to speak, is necessary to establish all of these things properly. V'kol zeh, and all of this is milvad hanhaga hamuka. This is besides the deeper hanhaga providence, hamisavevas klala mitzius kula l'tikun hasholim, that continuously guides the world to the future rectification. Hamigalgelas advarim l'shivat l'harabitul gomer min habriya, that twists and turns things such that the ra is completely eradicated from the bria. Umashi mitztorich loy min hanhaga, and whatever is necessary for it from providence. I'm not sure what that sentence means. Okay, so whatever. So and how those two works together. I'm assuming he was trying to say how that the two work together. All of this he sort of told us before. V'zoisi anhogam, you said this al his alei mashleimus ha'elyon. V'zoisi anhoga, you said this al his alei mashleimus ha'elyon ve'al shuvah lihigolis. All of this is based on first hiding Hashem's perfection and then revealing it. V'shiurei ha'anhoga zois hem shiurei ha'sibuv shel ha'galgal hazeh, and the measurements of this anhoga is built on this galgal, this turning, this twisting. I'm not sure what it means. Pirush hilach kol inyan hasoivev v'hoilach mehisalim hashleimus, that the journey of taking this experience from the hiding of shleimus until its revelation. Like we explained in this place with the help of Hashem. Hine Eila Shtei Hanhagos. So these two Hanhagos, Shetzrichim Ono Levar Ber Heitiv, is what we need to explain now very well. Im Lo Pertehem, not all of their details, Ki Ein Lehem Tachlis, because they're limitless, Ach Kloleihem Lefachos, but they're general, kind of in general, Ad Mokom Sheyedaino Magas, until the place where our hand can reach. Okay, so again, not sure what he's trying to do, right? So he already told us before, when he set up the whole system in its general terms, that there's two Hanhagos HaMishpat and Hanhagos HaYichud, right? And then the way they work together, that the hidden one, there's a hidden agenda that takes everything to perfection, and there is a revealed Hanhagos HaMishpat, which is Schar V'Oinish. Okay, so he already explained to us what now. What does he want to tell us?
I think he's laying groundwork for what's coming.
What? Setting the ground.
Yeah,
for sure.
They're saying that like everything interconnected and cause and effect and cause.
Okay, let's see.
Because that's what he was so impressed from previous chapter. Oh, now I understand. Yeah, now it's kind of I understand how Hashem works. Like everything interconnected and not every purpose. Now it's repeating, like everything gonna be interconnected.
Okay. So Amra Neshama, Eilehem Shnei Shirashim, these are two roots. Gedolim, great roots, Me'oid Me'oid. B'chochma Rabba v'yediyos hamukos muchrachu b'adei sheyonichlu behem. So a lot of wisdom and a lot of deep knowledge is obviously, included in them. Right? So these two fundamental Hanhagos obviously contain in them lots of knowledge and wisdom. So Kufla Medvav, Amar HaSeichel, Ata Nevar Betchila Hanhogas HaSchar V'Oinish. First we're going to explain the Hashem's providence of reward and punishment. Shehi HaMizgalis Yoiser Li'eineinu, because that's the one that's more revealed to our eyes. So Amar Hashem, the Berke Shemayas Anochi, so speak, I'm listening. So Kufla Medches, Amar HaSeichel, Amar Lecha Betchila Bechlal. First I'm going to give you a general introduction. Shtayim Shem Shalish Yisodos Roshim. Two that are really three foundational principles. Asher LaHanhaga Hazois, that this providence has. Achar Navoy LePerteim Echad Echad, and then we'll discuss each individual in detail one by one. Lemanti Mesila Slula Fanecha, so that the path is kind of laid before you, right? So I'm going to give you kind of the general outline so you see where we're going. When Hashem acts upon us, actions that He acts, in particular arrangements, and ways that He desires, we need to distinguish two types of chukim, of laws that He set up for this. So the first type is kol shetolui b'pulois of Yisborach. Everything that's from His perspective, it's based on His actions. V'hu klal kol darchei u'mishpetei hashpiyoi. And these are the ways and the laws of His influencing. Okay? V'hasheni, and the second one, kol mashetol b'spalus shalonu b'kavolaseinu. Whatever is dependent on our reception. Okay, our impact on us when we receive what He kind of quote unquote dishes out, right? So in other words, where we have to analyze, he's saying the schar v'oinish from two perspectives: from the actors, Hashem acting on us, and our acted upon, how we are acted upon. And this is the general. This is talking about still the second one. But who klal kol darchei darchei u'mishpetei kaboleinu mimenu. And these are all the different ways and laws of our accepting from Him. Right. So there's ways. I'm not sure what ways and laws, but there's ways and laws of Him acting upon us, and there's ways and laws of us being acted upon. Okay? Ways and laws of Him acting upon us, and ways and laws of Him acting, being acted upon. Okay, fine. But Amnam, however, Hachoik HaRishon, the first section, or the first laws, which is from his perspective, Shu Choik Hashpiyoi, these are the rules that apply to his actions, or his hashpah. Yischale Gam Hu L'Shnaim is also divided into two. That's why he said before that there are two, which are really three. Because the first one is split in two. V'zeh Kihine Kroksiv, because the Pasuk says, Kasher Yaser Ish as Benoy, just like a man kind of rebukes his son, Hashem Elokecha miyasrecha. So too Hashem kind of punishes you, right? Just like in other words, right? V'hainu ke'ena musar shakadosh baruch hu miyaser Yisrael musar nokam umakas oyev. It's not a musar when Hashem punishes Klal Yisrael. It's not out of hatred and like enemy-like, right? It's not a punishment of an enemy. Ela me'ahava shehu oyev. It comes from a place of love that he loves them, like a father his children. Shekain ksiv, as it is written in Mishlei, choisech shivtoi soynei b'no. Somebody who holds back the rod of discipline hates his son. V'oyhavov shacharoi musar. And somebody who loves his son, he opens his musar. Haresha musar noilad mina ahava mamash. So we see that really the punishments that Hashem dishes out, they really are, their source is pure love. V'nimtzeis techochas megula. So we see that the revealed techocha is noiledes, is born me'ahava mesuteres, from hidden love. Okay, so that's, once you put that idea in place, so as a result, this is how the split. Right. So as a result, two possible benefits arise from this idea. One is that one idea is that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually does the musar, it doesn't come from the cruelty of anger, ela b'misuk godol, but rather with great sweetness. Because of the love that is hidden, that doesn't allow for the anger to dominate and to become cruel. But then there is a second kind of high, I don't know if you call it higher level, but then there's a second outcome of this idea. So even at the time when the HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides to bring to justice his creations, but ultimately his kavana, which is hidden, is to benefit them and to have mercy on them. So therefore, as a result, that if there is no power in those that are being judged, right, to tolerate the justice, right? Yifne alehem barachamim, then he turns to them completely with rachamim. V'yaniach yodem mishpat legamri, and he removes his hand from justice completely. Okay, so he just says something very, in a way, bizarre. And he throws these things that sometimes I wonder, how, if this, how this passed the censors, whatever, pen. Right? So he's saying that once you establish the idea that all of HaKadosh Baruch Hu's musar and rebuking and punishments are coming from a place of love, so the one obvious effect is that, okay, so Hashem doesn't punish us with full force that we deserve. But the second thing is that that if Hashem sees that this person is not able to hold on to the punishment, so Hashem says, okay, forget it. He moves away completely from the hanhaga of justice, okay, and gives it and takes it, right? It says, Yifne aleim barachamim, he just turns to them just the opposite, with mercy, v'yaniach yodem mishpat legamri, and completely abandons the mishpat. V'hu inyan And this is what is said in the Gemara when the Gemara says, Oymed mekisei din, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu stands up from the throne of judgment, v'yoshev el kisei rachamim, and it sits on the kisei of rachamim, the throne of rachamim, right? So that's what supposedly our shofar, right, is supposed to accomplish. But when we blow the shofar in Rosh Hashanah, we're supposed to accomplish this idea that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gets up from the kisei din and moves to the kisei rachamim. Again, I guess maybe the shofar is supposed to represent our helplessness, and as a result, Hashem says, "Okay, you guys are not worth anything." Again, I don't know how this is supposed to be a mila for us. If he says, meaning,
But again, it's for temporary. This is the final din. Just talking about for time being.
right? So this is possibly. So I was going to say, so Mesilas Yesharim, right, told us that anybody who says that Kodesh Baruch Hu is a vatran, that's not a possibility. And he gives like 3 ways that Rachmanus expresses itself. One is gives you time to do tshuva, doesn't pat you like completely to the point where you can't exist, right? So it gives you, like you said, it's a temporary, what's the word? Yeah, I don't know, temporary, what do you call that? Whatever, okay, whatever, we understand what it means. Okay, so it's a temporary pushback until you can give you another chance to fix this. But it doesn't sound like that over here, that's the truth. Because he's saying he completely
works free.
right. So now we have to understand all these 3 elements, and their details, and the conditions hamashlimim inyon, that complete their essence. Okay? So what are the 3 again? What are the 3? Let's just first summarize. What are the 3? The 3 are that the way we need to understand how HaKadosh Baruch Hu acts towards us, right? In other words, in reward and punishment. And there are 2 possibilities, right? A standard reward and punishment possibility, which is not fully expressed anyways, but it's a standard reward and punishment. And then there is the non-standard reward and punishment when he says, you guys can't handle this, so instead of punish me, I'll just give you love, right? So that's 1, that's 2. And then the third one is the laws of the way that whenever we receive those rewards, punishments, opportunities, whatever, how, what laws are we govern our acceptance of these things. Okay? Yeah, what did you want to say?
No, because that's his talking maybe the second one. I'll leave you alone. Maybe that's what he's hinting reward in this word. That's what he meant.
No, but that doesn't sound like it. The reward in this world is like it's the worst punishment in a certain sense. But over here he seems to be saying that this is fully rachamim. I don't think so. Again, I think it goes back, if you remember we had a problem this last time, that the idea of Gilu Yechudoi is to show his memshala. And he said something along the lines that at some point HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I know you don't deserve it, but boom, I'm going to come in and show my power, my complete dominance over the system. Override. So this is like another, or maybe it's the same override, or maybe it's not the override, but this is an override of the system. At some point, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Rachamim kicks in, and he says, I only built this system for the purpose of Rachamim. And if it doesn't, meaning, the idea here is, what does it mean that the recipient can't tolerate? That means the punishment that this recipient deserves would be extinction. But extinction is not an option. Or at least not on a mass scale. On a mass scale, extinction is not an option. So if extinction is not an option, so what else is an option? HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to come in and fill in the gaps. That's what this is. Right? Because extinction is not an option, so therefore the creation overrides the needed destruction. Okay. Okay, so I don't know if we'll just start. Maybe we're gonna just start. He's gonna go on a very, very not long, but a somewhat lengthy introduction, which at first glance seems completely unnecessary. So, and it's going to be hard for us to get through this introduction unless we get through it and then move on to the next piece. So, which doesn't make any sense. But we'll just start the introduction so you know what it's about. So he says, first I need to present before you an introduction, which is necessary for everything that we will explain after this. And this Hagdama is very clear, to those that are English is losing my that are kind of commonplace with wisdom and their proofs. Okay, say Omar Seichel. So I don't know what he needed this qualification, but okay. Omar Seichel, Harav Agodol, the great rabbi, Haramba, the great teacher of the Rambam, Zachrenu Lebrach, Nisoirer al Toyer Yoloid. He was bothered, or he was fascinated with the concept of begetting or bearing, birthing. Hanimtza b'ksuvim, when it's written in psukim, ne'atak v'dvarim asher ein aleid b'hamim chedes, which when it's applied to something that has nothing to do with birth, meaning the physical, biological birth. So sometimes the concept of bearing is applied figuratively to other areas. And the Rambam discussed this. And he mentioned this in Mar Nebuchim. Yoloid, the concept of bearing, hushala, is borrowed. Zoi samila, this word is borrowed, limotzois advorim ativim, for just bringing about natural occurrences or natural existences. For example, B'terem Harim Yilodu, before the mountains were born. Obviously, the mountains were not born, but we're just poetically borrowing the word birth to the creation of the mountains. It's also borrowed figuratively for innovation of thought. What is compulsory from logical kind of deductions, right? So something that is naturally deduced from, like law B is naturally deduced from law A, it would be appropriate to say that law B is born out of law A. Okay? K'moy v'yolad sheker, and the falsehood was born. Right? Meaning, as a result of his actions or his speech, right? Pasuk says v'yolad sheker, it brought gave birth to sheker. Umimenu noimer ubeyaldei nochrim yaspiku, and the birth of strangers. I don't know what the pasuk is. Hold on. What does it say by you? It says here. and in the offspring of strangers they delight. Okay. Ubeyaldei nochrim yaspiku, and in the offspring of strangers they delight. I'm not sure what this pasuk is referring to. Okay, Ad Kan L'Shonim. So that's the end of the Rambam. So, but the point is, v'hutak ha'torah zeh lemachshava. So this expression is attached to machshava, to thought. Who v'kolam is damim loy. But not only the concept of bearing, but all other kind of connected ideas. V'hainu k'moishli dovar mischadesh nishal torah haleda. Just like to anything that's brought about from scratch, you can ascribe the concept of birth. So then we can extend the metaphor, and for anything that a potential that is brought about into the into real nashil haheroyon. We can ascribe to it the concept of conception. I don't know. He means really. I don't know why he says it like this, that the potential coming to reality. It's just the opposite. Something coming into potential, that would be called conception. And then birth would really be it coming to fruition, to reality. He conceived deceit, and he gave birth to falsehood. Right? So initially it's a potential, and then it's real. Because once you apply a part of the idea, so then you can also ascribe to it all its details, meaning every metaphor is extendable. So what we know is that any kind of logical conclusion that come from good logic, good sense, so it's going to have outcomes. It's going to give birth to results. I'm sorry, not more than outcomes. Sorry, they will have its parents, so to speak. Which is its first principles, right? So if you have an idea, that idea must be preceded by something else. That it's birthing parents, and that what we call first principles. So the there for the result, which is brought about in potential from something that comes before it, and when it's born, then it comes out from potential to reality. Right? In other words, what he's trying to address is that in every general principle is like there are seeds of all of the outcomes that result, but when those outcomes do result, that we call birth, and the seed is conception that lies within the bekoyach, within the potential. Okay? So again, so we're going to probably stop here. So he's going to somehow set up that this is not, again, why is he telling us all this? I mean, okay, great. Yeah, we understand that figuratively you can apply the concept of birth to other things. Great. What he wants to tell us is that that's not just a, what's the word? Again, that's not just a happenstance. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence, but rather the universe is created in such a way that everything that exists is
interconnected.
Is born. Everything is born. Right? There's a seed, and it grows and produces, and it keeps. And every level of creation from the very beginning, all come down. It's all one big chain of birth, birthing chain.
Okay.
Right? That's what he was gonna set up, which is going to be necessary for understanding the Anhagas HaMishpat and the Anhagas HaYichud and all of these things. Okay. Shkoyach.